With 2 weeks remaining of the 2024 Global Trophy, we are here with the final qualifiers for this tournament. 24 teams have already made their way through and stamped their spots. All 24 of them have been to at least one Global Trophy final, and now it's time to find our final 8. Welcome everyone to the 2024 Global Trophy, the 20th annual Global Trophy. We are here with the final qualifiers before next week's Global Trophy finals, the Americas qualifiers. I'm Masterath and I'm joined alongside
Sam Elliott, 64, and yes, of course, last week we saw Ivory Coast make history for the first time, winning the African section. It's a big moment for that team. We will see another new winner over in the Americas. I mean, there's a few teams that haven't won it for a while, but of course, everyone's here to see the red-hot favourites, Argentina.
Of course, current back-to-back America's champions. 11 times they've won the title altogether. Never done 3 in a row, though. Could they do it this year?
I know, last time they were interrupted by Chile in the finals, don't forget. If they had won that game, they would have won the last 5 America's sections back-to-back.
Yeah, almost pretty much. We haven't seen dominance like that since Australia in the now defunct Oceania qualifiers, of course.
Absolutely. Let's get on with our teams then, shall we?
Yep, we're kicking off with our dud team, who bottled it right at the end. It is Guyana.
Oh, Guyana. What happened? The defeat to Grenada, a 2-0 defeat. It just happened to be 2-0. And that's the end of their competition as a competitive outfit, certainly. Shame for them, they had some good performances in the preliminaries, didn't they?
Yep, but all they needed was to not lose by 2 or more in their final fixture. They weren't able to do that, which has allowed, for the second year in a row, Cuba to qualify and have a chance of progressing.
Yep, an actual participating entry this time around are Cuba. Let's see how they get on. It's not going to be an easy task, certainly, to get... it's never an easy task to get through as a preliminary team in the Americas, but let's see what they can do.
Certainly, and next up, it is Suriname.
Yeah, Suriname, of course, the big shockers, I think, in the preliminaries. I think they were the biggest surprise at how poor they were at the start. They did recover in the end to 6th place.
Yep, so enough to go through, but for a team that has, in the past, won the preliminary league, very much not good for them. They need to start stepping it up in this section. Next up, finished 5th in the preliminary league, back into the Global Trophy qualifiers for the first time in a while, the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, they were brilliant, weren't they? They were good value. Well done for the Cayman Islands. And let's see, hopefully they get a nice draw. And they probably won't, but let's see.
Incoming Argentina.
Yep.
Next up, again, another team making it to the qualifiers this time around. They failed last time round, but they're here. Finished 4th, St. Lucia.
Yeah, St. Lucia, decent team. Again, the caveat to have with all of these teams from the preliminaries is it's not going to be easy for them.
It certainly isn't. Obviously, we did see St. Kitts and Nevis do it last time round, so anything's possible. Next up, finished 3rd in the preliminary league, Belize.
Yeah, Belize played well, didn't they? They got the points on the board quickly and never really in danger, were they?
No, especially that. I'd say that's certainly that top 3, never really in danger. Next up, they dropped into the preliminary league this year, but they finished very comfortably in 2nd place. Almost went for the title there. Barbados.
Yeah, Barbados almost had it, didn't they? But not quite in the end. They performed well, though, and again, much like Belize, were never really in danger.
Yep, and the winner of this year's America's Preliminary League, all 3 Saints are going to be participating here. It's St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yep, absolutely. St. Vincent did very well to win the preliminary league. In the end, they kind of topped the whole way through, weren't they?
Yeah, apart from a small section where Barbados had a sniff of the title, but St. Vincent very much on top for a long time in that preliminary league.
Absolutely.
Now we get to the top 16 teams who didn't make it to the Global Trophy finals last time around from the Americas, but with their FIFA rankings were able to not essentially bypass the preliminary league, kicking off with the serial team that always does that, Antigua and Barbuda.
Yeah, Antigua, I mean, they're not exactly a powerhouse, are they? Let's say that much.
Yeah, definitely, but they do always just do enough to not, in real life, in fact, just to not be in the preliminary league. They've done it again this year, and I think, didn't they make it to the round of 16 last time round? I think they did.
They may well have done, yeah.
Next up, Guatemala.
Yeah, Guatemala, I think, again, one of those teams that, have they had to pre-qualify before? They might have done. I can't remember.
I don't believe so. I do know that, I think maybe four years ago, they did make it to the Global Trophy Finals.
That's crazy. That is crazy, isn't it?
So a good performance there, but that's been a couple of years now. Can they maybe replicate that this year? Next up, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, of course. They qualified for the World Cup a few years, didn't they? If you remember back into the early 2000s. I remember England had to play them.
Yes. Yeah, well, obviously they have, they had like really good players back then. Nowadays, they are below a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
Next up, it is Curacao, being represented obviously by Netherlands Antilles, because that's pretty much what Curacao used to be known as back in the day.
Yep. Former Dutch colony, much like Suriname. Yep, the Netherlands Antilles now known as Curacao.
Next up, the first team from South America. They're very low ranked in the FIFA rankings, so they may be in the preliminary league in a couple of years' time. It's Bolivia.
Yeah, Bolivia, one of the obviously one of the weakest South American teams. Not really known for their footballing prowess, are they, Bolivia?
Yep, but you usually see like a Venezuela be below Bolivia in FIFA rankings of past, but obviously Venezuela have had a decent run of form recently. So Bolivia now the lowest ranked South American team. And next up, we have Honduras.
Honduras, again, a couple of years ago, were one of those kind of teams which are kind of a bit of a threat, weren't they? They had, Wilson Palacios, was it, back in the day?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a sort of far cry from those times, and they're going to be even angrier as their football war opponents, El Salvador, are above them just barely in the FIFA rankings.
That's nuts to me, isn't it? El Salvador are above Honduras in the rankings these days. It's crazy.
Yeah, but a good run for them so far. Next up, it is Jamaica.
Jamaica actually have a decent national team these days. I think they do quite well in the Gold Cup, the North American trophy recently.
Yeah, I think they did on that one, yeah. Next up, it is usually the lowest ranked South American team in the FIFA rankings, but again, good run of form recently, especially over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. Venezuela.
They have a good striker these days. It's a guy called Joseph Martinez. And Joseph Martinez used to play for Atalanta. So not Atalanta, Atlanta in America, but he now plays for Inter Miami.
Fair enough on that one. Next up, it is Paraguay.
Would you believe that Paraguay are former America section champions? They won it back in 2009. They are the lowest ranked FIFA team to have ever won the America section. So good for them, I guess.
Yep, but they do have a trophy to their name. Next up, it is Costa Rica.
They're always a surprise package at World Cups, aren't they, Costa Rica? They nearly qualified from that horrible group of the World Cup last year, which was, was it Germany, Spain, and Japan?
Yeah.
And for a second, it was Japan and Costa Rica that went through.
Yeah.
For a brief glorious moment.
Yeah, with Germany and Spain going out. I think it was about 2 minutes that was the case. I was at the pub watching the match, actually. That was very, very fun to watch.
Definitely.
Next up, it is Panama.
Also recently have been in the World Cup in the last couple of years. They also made it to the round of 8 a couple of years ago in the America section and qualified for the Global Trophy Finals, didn't they?
They certainly did, and they finished in the top 16 there, so in the Global Trophy Finals. So, a dark horse, you could say, potentially, Panama.
Absolutely.
Next up, it's Canada.
Also, a recent resurgence in their footballing prowess. They've got players like Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David and the like. A decent side to Canada. Of course, they didn't do that well in the World Cup last time out, did they? I think they lost all their games, I think.
Yeah, but I think so on that one. Essentially, when it comes to Canada, if you've got the surname which has, like, Dave in it, you're probably going to get into the first team and be quite good. Next up, former America section champions, Chile.
Yep, Chile, of course, won back in 2021 and in 2011. So they've won 2 titles in the Americas in the past. The only team other than Argentina and Brazil to have won more than one. Yeah, Chile are a really good team.
Yep. We haven't seen Chile in a Global Trophy Finals for a while, though.
No, we haven't. They've had some tough draws in the last couple of years, I think.
Yep. Next up, again, another team who's had some tough draws, Mexico.
The 2013 America Section champions, Mexico. Of course, they were also runners-up in 2017 of the Global Trophy Finals outright. It was the best performance from a South American team, or an America's team, other than Argentina and Brazil in history. So they've got pedigree, Mexico.
Yep, they went on to lose to France in the first Global Trophy on YouTube.
They did indeed.
And next up, trumping them and above them... Don't know why, of course I said the word trumping. It's the USA.
It's nuts to me as well, because, if you go back historically, Mexico is a big footballing nation, isn't it? They've held 2 World Cups in the past. They're going to be holding a 3rd one in a couple of years' time. The USA's not really got any football heritage, so to speak. But here they are, above Mexico.
Yeah, above Mexico in the rankings. Next up, the top 8 teams who qualified for the Global Trophy Finals last time round. And we got to kick off with these guys, haven't we? St. Kitts and Nevis.
Has to be, doesn't it? St. Kitts and Nevis are an absolute beast team. Established at this point, as a top 8 contender for the Americas section. Who am I kidding? They're really not. But they had a good run last time, and fair play to them. Hopefully they get another chance to show the world what they've got.
Yep, finished in the top 16 in the Global Trophy Finals last time round, losing out to Malaysia. Next up, Peru.
Yeah, Peru again, a dark horse team from the America section. They always there or thereabouts. One team to keep your eyes on, and don't underestimate them. They're a decent side.
Yep, definitely. And speaking of dark horses, they keep coming with these dark horses. Ecuador's next.
Ecuador won the America section in 2007. They were the first team not called Argentina to win the America section.
Yep. So yeah, Ecuador won an America section before Brazil did.
Shocking to think, isn't it?
Speaking of Argentina, it's essentially their punching bags from last year, Haiti.
Poor old Haiti. They conceded a lot of goals to Argentina last year, didn't they?
Yep, 20 goals altogether in 2 matches. Haiti got to the top 8 and then were knocked out by Argentina 8-0 in the quarterfinals of the America section. And then they drew against Argentina again in the Global Trophy Finals and lost 12-0.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really, for Haiti? 8 wasn't enough, so they had to prove a point.
Yep, and when it comes to Global Trophy rankings, goals do count in how well your points are, so that's really lost a lot of points for Haiti there by losing so heavily.
Absolutely.
Next up, finished 4th in the America section last time round, only losing out to the runners-up Brazil. It's Uruguay.
Uruguay is, one of those teams that haven't won the America section in the past. The next team as well is, but Uruguay are one of those teams, again, much like the other teams I kind of mentioned, dark horses. If with a good run, they probably could win it.
Yep, sleeping giants, Uruguay, but they haven't made it to many Global Trophy Finals at all. They seem to be having some very tough draws going into it, so will they make it potentially 2 in a row here? Next up, the highest ranked Global Trophy side to have never won a trophy, Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia have never won an America section in the past, but they are consistently one of the most dangerous teams in the America section, and indeed in the Global Trophy Finals. They've made the quarterfinals several times in recent years. Let's see how they get on here. They're a good team to play against.
Yep, and Colombia, of course, one of only 2 teams in the top 10 of the top 20 of the Global Trophy rankings who have never won a title. The other team being South Korea. Next up, runners-up again of the America section, but they have won a fair few trophies to their name. It's Brazil.
Yeah, they have. They've won 3 America sections in the past, 2015, 2017, 2018. They've also won 2 global trophies in their history as well. They were winners back in 2010 and 2014. And of course, more recently in 2018, they were the Global Trophy Champion of Champions as well, the first ever.
Yep, and also, as well, they were the 2022 Global Trophy runners-up.
They were indeed, losing out to the Czech Republic in the final.
Yep, missing out their chance of making it 3 global trophies for them to join teams like Spain on 3 wins, but also the red hot favourites, the winners of the America section 11 times, Argentina.
Yeah, 11-time America section champions. They've also won 3 global trophies in the past. They were winners back in 2008, 2012, and 2015. They were the last non-European team to win the global trophy, and of course, they were most recently the 2022 global trophy champion of champions.
Very interesting to see how they get on here.
Don't forget to save state.
Sorry, I already did it.
Good lad. Back you go.
Okay, we're all good. All right, let's just move around. I know Barbados and Belize. Let's do that.
See if it works.
So our guy is our dud team. Let's see if this works. Yay! There we go. Oh God, sakes! No!
I'll tell you what. Look at that second.
Oh gee, yeah. I just noticed the second one.
That's and the fourth one, third one. To be fair, they're all kind of Well. Okay, so
we could see Mexico, Brazil in round 2.
We could indeed. We might not though. Obviously, Ecuador a tough match in there. But look at the fixtures here. No Argentina to be seen. No Uruguay. You know, no Chile. No,
No St. Kitts and Nevis.
No, not at all.
Cayman Islands and St. Vincent are really in with a shout here. So's Canada.
Yeah, we could see Canada in the finals as well.
Yeah, we kick off with Mexico. They take on Suriname, who, well, their form's not been great recently, has it?
No, it hasn't. They've got a stiff opposition here in Mexico.
Yep, especially against Mexico. 7-0 Mexico through to round 2 to take on either a big crunch match, Brazil or Ecuador. Both teams made it through the Global Trophy Finals last time around. Brazil, in fact, beat Ecuador in the quarterfinals last year.
They did it. They did indeed. Both, of course, former America section champions. Can one of them win here?
Yep, Brazil with the more trophies. They do go through. 1-0. It sets up Mexico, Brazil, which I think they went against each other last year as well at the round of 16 stage.
Yeah, we are going to lose a big team from the Americas, another big team from the Americas here in one of those 2 teams. But now look at this. We've got a few games here which are all kind of quite open. So we have St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the preliminary league winner, taking on Canada.
Canada, who I believe made it to the round of 16 last time round of the Americas section, versus, yep, the champions of the preliminary league. St. Vincent knocked Canada out! We are going to see a preliminary qualifier go through.
We are indeed, because our next match is Belize versus the Cayman Islands.
Yep, Belize, who finished 3rd. Cayman Islands finished 5th.
One of these two will go through to play St. Vincent, the preliminary league winner.
In the round of 16, it is Belize, 3-1. Out go Cayman Islands.
Yep, thank you for coming, Cayman Islands, but you go home now.
Cuba, a big opportunity here for Cuba. They've got Panama for a round of 16 clash with El Salvador, who do have the dud.
You'd probably say Panama are the favourites if they have made it this far before.
Yep, being the qualifiers outright themselves. It is a win for Cuba. Panama out.
That's a surprise. And of course, Cuba, of course, were given that opportunity by Guyana, who are now playing El Salvador. Oh, how the turntables.
El Salvador have made it to a Global Trophy Finals quite recently. Could they make it 2 in a few years, or can Cuba potentially break through that glass ceiling and make it into the top 8?
It'd be an amazing story if they do, because of course, let's not forget, they went through because Guyana lost to Grenada by 2 goals.
Yeah,
what a story it'll be for Cuba.
They scraped through by the skin of their teeth. Will they be essentially the Greece of this league? Obviously, we've had Greece who've made it through by the skin of their teeth, mostly a mess up on my part, but they then made it all the way into the Global Trophy Finals. Can Cuba replicate that? Or will El Salvador make it to another Global Trophy Finals?
We'll have to wait and see. I think probably El Salvador are the favourites for that one, but it's not going to be an easy task. Cuba have done some decent things so far.
Guatemala will now take on Peru. Peru, one of the big teams here, I'd say.
I'd say Peru probably the favourites. Yep, definitely.
It is a win. 2-0. Peru into round 2 to take on either the USA or Venezuela.
tough one to call this, but I'd say probably the Americans are the favourites.
You'd certainly say that much. They are higher ranked than Mexico on that. It is a 2-0 win, and the USA take on Peru in the round of 16.
Should be an interesting clash between those two. St. Lucia, a pre-qualifier. They take on Antigua and Barbuda, who of course narrowly avoided it on FIFA ranking.
Yep, narrowly avoided the preliminaries there. Win for St. Lucia, outgo Antigua and Barbuda. Now take on either Jamaica or Bolivia.
Not an easy task for either team here. Jamaica, I'd say probably just the favourites. But, you know, Bolivia are a decent team.
Jamaica higher up in the FIFA rankings. Win for Bolivia. They're through. Bolivia or St. Lucia are going to be Global Trophy finalists.
They are indeed. Next up it is Costa Rica against Curacao, represented by the Dutch Antilles. Can they get through?
Costa Rica, you'd say, would be the favourite here. They are 6-1. They're through. And St. Kitts and Nevis take on Barbados.
We've got a lot of big teams still to come, you know.
Yes.
This is looking pretty dicey, isn't it?
Yeah, we have what? No Colombia, no Uruguay, no Argentina.
No Chile.
No Chile. You know, those are some big names there. But
Yep,
Barbados...
so Kitts, both of these two have had to pre-qualify in recent years to take on Costa Rica in the next round.
Win for Barbados. St. Kitts and Nevis out at this stage.
And now it is Honduras and Haiti. Haiti, of course, did make it through to the top 8 last time. Honduras did not.
Yep, Honduras looking to push through here as El Salvador have done before. They do. 0-0 win, a penalty win, and Chile, Colombia is next.
So Honduras will play the winner of these two, which means one of, at least, Argentina and Uruguay will not make it through.
Exactly. Chile and Colombia. Colombia finished third in the America section last time round. Chile failing to qualify. Win for Colombia, 2-0, and Paraguay will take on Trinidad and Tobago.
Which means our last match will be Argentina and Uruguay, but we'll have to get through this match first. Paraguay probably the favourites against Trinidad.
Yep, former America section champions of Paraguay win 3-0, which sets up Paraguay versus either Uruguay or Argentina. It's not an easy road for Argentina, is it?
It's really not. I think Argentina are probably the favourites to take on Uruguay, though.
You certainly expect so. It is a win, 4-0, Argentina into round 2 to take on Paraguay. And that is our round of 16.
It's a bit wild, isn't it? I mean, Uruguay, of course, did make our top 4 last time, and they are out of it.
Yep, finished 4th, lost to Brazil that time round. And while we still have Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina all still in, the podium finishers all still in at the moment.
Yes. Now, it is absolutely lined up, this competition, for a Brazil-Argentina final, as it tends to go. But Brazil have got to get past Mexico, which is not an easy task.
Certainly not an easy task. Former finalists of the Global Trophy altogether. Brazil through 5-0. What a win for them. They're in the Global Trophy finals again.
In some style, Mexico absolutely deflated St. Vincent and Belize, 2 pre-qualifier teams here.
One of them's going through. Are we just going to have another Saint go through? Or can Belize do it? Finally, after so long. Belize is in the finals! Finally for Belize!
Oh, heartbreak for St. Vincent, losing on penalties. The winners of the preliminary league are out.
Belize, for the first time, I think in Global Trophy history, will not have to pre-qualify next year.
Unbelievable scenes for Belize. Well done to them.
Cuba, can they make the most of this? They have El Salvador in the round of 16. Winner goes through to the Global Trophy finals to join Brazil and Belize.
Not an easy task for Cuba, but they have had some good luck to get to this point. Can they continue that luck?
Can they carry it on? Win for El Salvador. Cuba, it's a spirited effort from Cuba, but they are out at the round of 16. Their fairy tale story ends here.
Yeah, El Salvador will progress alongside either Peru or the USA.
Certainly expect the USA to be the favourites here, but Peru made it to the round of 16, to the round of 8 last time round.
The USA did not, of course. They failed to make it that far.
Yep, lost to Argentina at this stage. They're through this time, though. The USA into the Global Trophy finals again.
They are indeed. Next up, it is St. Lucia and Bolivia. St. Lucia, of course, a pre-qualifying team, another pre-qualifying team. Bolivia through on FIFA rankings, but they've kind of slipped by the wayside in terms of their FIFA rankings in recent years. Can they make it to the top 8 this time?
It's a big opportunity for Bolivia here to make it to a Global Trophy finals. They haven't! St. Lucia's through!
St. Lucia have done it!
They've done it! They're in the top 8!
A wonderful run for St. Lucia. Can Barbados join that? They take on Costa Rica, who, of course, are a decent enough South American side.
Will we see 3 preliminary qualifiers go through, or will Costa Rica make it? They do! 3-0 Costa Rica! Into the Global Trophy Finals they go!
And a good run potentially on the cards for Costa Rica. They have a chance at making it all the way to the semis of the Americas section. Honduras and Colombia next up. Not an easy one for Colombia, this.
Certainly isn't. Honduras with El Salvador through. Honduras would certainly want to go through. Colombia very consistent though. 4-0 Colombia through, and Honduras are out.
Shame for Honduras. Will we get our final spot of the Global Trophy filled up by Paraguay? Or will it be, of course, Argentina? They're inevitable, surely.
No! Argentina's gone! Out go Argentina in round of 16 for the first time in ages! Paraguay have knocked out the favourite!
I don't believe it. Argentina, at this stage, they will not get 3 in a row. Again, they've failed to do so.
An amazing performance there for Paraguay. Argentina are gone!
And I'll tell you what, this America section is not looking that strong, is it? If you look at it,
this is Brazil's or the USA's to win, surely, or maybe Colombia.
Maybe it's finally time for Colombia to get a trophy. Brazil take on Belize, of course, to start things off. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
In the quarterfinals, Brazil through 12-0. Into the semis they go, but they could take on either El Salvador or the USA.
Not an easy one for the USA, but I think they're probably the favourites here.
Certainly would be the favourites here. El Salvador knock them out! El Salvador are in the semi-finals!
What is going on here? El Salvador go through.
They'll take on Brazil. St. Lucia or Costa Rica are going to be America's section semi-finalists.
I think probably Costa Rica are the favourites here, though, it has to be said.
St. Lucia have had a great run to get here. It ends there. Costa Rica into the semi-finals. Take on either Colombia or Paraguay.
Paraguay have got to be the favourites after defeating Argentina, but Colombia are so strong.
Colombia very consistent, very strong. They're in 5-1. Into the semi-finals they go. Could this be their first title?
Brazil take on El Salvador, probably the red-hot favourites once again. Brazil, they're in imperious form at the moment.
Yeah, it's theirs to lose. Win for Brazil, 2-0. They're in the finals.
But they will take on a team beginning with C and O. Will it be Costa Rica or Colombia?
And ends in A. It's Costa Rica, 3-0. What a win for Costa Rica.
And Costa Rica win their first ever America section title, or will Brazil reclaim what they believe is rightfully theirs and get their 4th America section title?
Could be the 4th for Brazil. It is! Brazil have won it for the first time in ages. Brazil win the Americas section. Finally!
Oh my goodness me. Brazil, for the first time since 2018, have won the Americas section title over Costa Rica, of all teams.
Yep, Costa Rica making it very far. A very spirited effort from Costa Rica to make it to the finals. But the inevitable has carried on with Argentina out. Brazil became the favourite and they steamrolled home.
Yeah, they did. They beat Mexico, of course, 5-0 as well along the way. They beat Belize 12-0, 2-0 against El Salvador, and of course beating Costa Rica in the final. But I think we have to say the bigger mission here is Argentina, isn't it? What on earth happened there? They won their first match against Uruguay 4-0, and then Paraguay just crumbled them.
Paraguay stopping them in their tracks. Argentina, for the first time in ages, are not going to be in the Global Trophy finals.
No, beaten in the round of 16 in the Americas. Yeah,
but also this may give. We're gonna have to have a check on this at the end of this, but this may give the Philippines a reprieve.
Yeah, because they have made the Global Trophy Finals in the past. We'll have to double check about Belize and St. Lucia's credentials, maybe even Costa Rica as well. But we'll have to double check that in a second before we do record the finals. But man, this America section doesn't look too strong, does it? If you look at the teams who have made it through. Yep,
we have 2 strong groups in Europe and Africa. 2 weak groups though in in America and Asia. So it's very close, really. I think if there's any chance for an African team to win, here it is.
This is the year, isn't it? You know, all those European teams are all very strong, but they could all play each other. You never know.
Exactly, or they could take on teams like the USA or Brazil. That is the nature of the final, and that will be next week. But for this week, Brazil, for the first time in ages, since 2018, have won the Americas section. Argentina out of the Global Trophy in the round of 16 of the qualifiers. Argentina are gone. Brazil, the biggest team in the Americas, going through. What an Americas qualifiers there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would have thought, you know, we laud every year that Argentina are the best team in this competition. But they are fallible, as we see every year. They haven't won it in so long, and it's now going to be, 10 years since Argentina have last won a global trophy.
Yep, and even more at this point, they are out. So, yeah, that opens the door, really, for some teams, and Brazil could be one of them.
They really could be. This finals could be one of the most special we've ever seen. We could have an all-new winner. We could, there's lots of big teams in there. I can't wait to find out who's going to win it.
I mean, really, I'd say, unfortunately, I know the comments don't like it, but this is Europe's to lose.
It really is. It really is. And I think, there's so many teams that could win it from Europe. The Dutch are in great form. Obviously won the European section. Germany as well. Could go back-to-back. They're very, very strong at the moment. So even Scotland could win it.
Yep. France, obviously, can't doubt, essentially the highest-ranked team left in the tournament. And 4-time winners. Could they get a 5th?
I mean, it's entirely possible, isn't it, really? They are one of the better teams in the competitions left in, so let's see.
Certainly could. And next week, we will end the 20th annual Global Trophy with our Global Trophy finals. We have 32 teams left. And next week, we will be down to just 1. We've got 1 week to go until that. So that's the end of the qualifiers here at the 2024 Global Trophy. I've been Masterath.
I've been Sven-Göran 64.
And we'll see you next week for what is going to be a star-studded, surprise-packed Global Trophy Finals. We'll see you next week.